Hola, familia de Isaac. My name is Elena Mireles-Hill, and I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. I'm so grateful to be on this journey to DC for justice with all of you. We have been a longtime partner and supporter of Isaac's work, and also have partnered with them deeply in the TRHT space, in addition to other task force and committees across the community. We are so grateful for all the work that Isaac and its members do on behalf of our community. I wanted to share a little bit more about why I am on this journey towards racial justice. I think for me, given these times, this truly is the only way forward. Too many people of color, especially Black and brown folks, are dying and are suffering injustices as a result of discrimination and oppression in our community and in various sectors, and in housing and employment and our educational systems, our criminal justice systems, and the list goes on. We also know that racism gets passed down as generational trauma. For me, my family comes from a history of being Mexican farm workers, migrant farm workers, and my grandparents suffered a ton of discrimination in access to employment and housing just because of their identities and because of their limited English. My father had many experiences throughout his life as well, but even just the simple act of being able to cash a check was challenging for him because of the color of his skin. For me, I have been followed in stores for fear that I might steal something. And my son, my 4-year-old son, has been told in a public setting here in Kalamazoo to not speak Mexican when we were speaking Spanish in a public space. And so these are just a few examples from the history of my family. And yet there are many more. And we know, even as myself, as a light-skinned Chicana, I know that some of my experiences have been much easier than many others who don't have that same privilege. A racial justice agenda, I think, calls us to imagine a place where we all belong, where we are all dignified, where we all have an opportunity for prosperity, where we can imagine a world free of discrimination and hate, where our systems and institutions are agents of liberation as opposed to further oppression. I truly believe that this moment is calling us to a deep healing and transformation. Healing from that which has never worked, healing which has perpetuated this idea that some of us are more worthy of opportunities and resources than others. Healing from a system that's been broken, that has perpetuated white supremacy and has upheld it for far too long, which we know has only benefited a few at the expense of many. I also really believe that this is a moment that is calling us more than ever to live into being a beloved community, to imagine ourselves as belonging to one another, and that an injury to one is truly an injury to all of us. This current time really is telling us, amid this pandemic, that this way of life is not sustainable, that it truly is making us sick, that we have been holding the trauma of racism in our bodies, especially for people of color, for far too long, and that our bodies literally cannot take it, that they are bursting because it is too much, it is too heavy to be holding. And so racial justice calls us to live in a radically different world. We are being called to hold things to the light, to not be consumed by the darkness that wants to consume us on most days, but to speak truth to power, to root ourselves in hope, and to keep pushing for a world where we are all free. And I know for me, a huge part of that is for my child, and also thinking about everyone's children as if they were our own. But to think about the generations of children to come, that we want to create a better world for them. I continue to be encouraged by the many inspirational people locally and nationally who are committed to a racial justice agenda. People of color are rising up in this time, and white folks are waking up to the change that is needed. Just a note to those that want to be white allies in this work, I really challenge all of you to think about your platforms, your relationships, the power and access to resources that you have. And how can you really step up, not when it's only convenient, but maybe especially when it's not convenient, when you might actually have to risk something, when you have to put yourself out there, when it's not comfortable. We need you in those spaces. We need you to commit to this work for the long haul. Not, again, when it's easy or popular, convenient, but truly to know that you are not liberated until we all are. I want to give a shout out to some of my Black sisters in community, Vice Mayor Patrice Griffin, Sholana Lewis, Charlay Davis, and Stephanie Hoffman. And congratulations in them recently passing the Housing Equity Ordinance. This is a true win for Kalamazoo. And I know, because I've seen them literally in action, and the tireless hours and leadership that they have put in to be able to bring this to fruition. I hope this is a signal to our local community about the power of following the lead of Black, Indigenous, people of color leadership in our community. That when we do that, great things can happen. And I think it's a lesson for all of us. And I'm so grateful to know all of these women and the power of their work, and to be in community with all of them. So this is one thing that's giving me hope right now, that change is possible. It oftentimes happens way slower than what we would like, but we know we have to persist over time with great patience, with frustration at points, but to really imagine that world that we want to all live in, a world where we all matter, a world that signifies the beloved community. I want to leave us with some words from the late civil rights activist, John Lewis. What if the beloved community were already a true reality, and we simply have to embody it until everyone else can see it? So what would it mean for each of us if we were to embody the beloved community as if it already was, in our relationships, actions, and work every day? What change could this bring about? And I share this with all of you as this is also accountability for myself, as I know that there's moments and times on a regular basis where I could be embodying that even more fully. So I offer you and leave you with strength and hope on this journey, that we are continue to be in this all together on this journey towards justice.